Title Things Fall Apart is self-explanatory, even then much significance is given to it because it summarizes the whole novel. In his novel, Chinua Achebe talks about a society that was free from doubts of all kinds. He portrays strong beliefs of people on goddesses, stars, the moon and the sun. The writer sketches the traditional values of Igbo society. He talks about the customs and values that they inherited from their forefathers. In short, he illustrates a society that has some norms which they believe will remain with them forever. However, ultimately at the end of the novel, each and everything falls apart. The title of a book attracts readers and it always has an importance of its own. Some writers choose an ironic title, some modest. Chinua Achebe selects this title to summarize the whole story that he tells us in his book. Thus, we can imagine, just by a glance at the title, what is in there in the book. Things Fall Apart is the name usually given to the devastation of something, and that is all the story is about. Hence, readers can hardly imagine any other meaning of this title. Title Things Fall Apart and Significance of Theme. No other title can define this novel better than the one that has already been given to it. It seems that Chinua Achebe chose this title to express one of its prominent themes. It is also obvious from minute observation and comparison of the novel with its other themes that its primary subject is a depiction of Igbo culture. The writer introduces us to a society that was once living in Nigeria while having its own traditions, rituals and beliefs. He concludes the novel with the death of Okonkwo, the protagonist of the play, who was closely linked to his values and truly adores them. With his death, all the things that once had much significance fall apart, which means that the things that were believed to be unending end suddenly, hence it justifies the title of the novel. A person is recognized by his deeds, but recognition of a society is its culture and social norms. In every corner of the world, we find different nations, and we recognize them either by their names or by their social norms. Every nation has its own customs as well as ethical values, giving them the confidence to choose their method of living. Some values may be awkward for some nations, but they may be the pride for others. It is relevant to mention here that African people were not considered cultured. Chinua Achebe wrote a novel with the title Things Fall Apart and showed the world the truth while portraying the cultural values of a society, the significance of which he portrays through the character of Okonkwo. Things Fall Apart is not only a title but a major theme. As mentioned earlier, the novel is about the people of Nigerian society, spending life according to their culture and values. They have their own traditions that they believe are enough for them to spend life satisfactorily. The writer tells his readers a story of the values and customs of a society that are precious to them, more than their lives. The novel clearly paints the life of Nigerian people, who were much depressed after the arrival of white men in their society as it shattered their credibility. Hence, Things Fall Apart is not merely a title, but concludes its main theme. Reasons behind falling things apart. In addition to the theme of the novel, there are certain reasons why things shatter. The climax of the novel is very much relevant in this regard, when the culture of Igbo society was ruined by the expansion of European society. White man arrives in Igbo society and brings a new faith, Christianity, as well as unique customs. That new religion was entirely against their traditions. It is impossible to keep a strong belief in Igbo culture while believing in the new religion. For them, accepting Christianity means declaring tales of forefathers as white lies, as there is no concept of female goddesses in Christianity. One must give up on one of them. Some accept it whereas others reject it, hence, mothers speak against daughters, sons against fathers and brothers against brothers. Resultantly things fall apart, and the significance of which the writer gives in the novel, hence, the title is defensible. The impact of religion on the people is much deeper, and they are deeply weakened by the new religion. They are well aware of the fact that it will end their culture. The protagonist of the novel tries his best to save his social norms, but in vain. Neither he can stop white men to expand their culture, nor he could save his people from destruction, and ultimately he finds a good way to get rid of it. He commits suicide. It is an example in which the writer illustrates that some people do not want to accept new norms. On the other hand, he portrays the example of Okano's son, who is the representative of those people who accept the change. Finally, the people were divided into two groups. One was of those who accepted the change, whereas the second was of those who rejected it. Conflict arose between people and things shattered. Significance: Okonkwo's life through the title Things Fall Apart. Indeed, the title of this novel has its own significance, as it mainly focuses on the things of Igbo society that fall apart by the expansion of colonialism and Christianity, however, for whom the things fell apart. Of course, for Okonkwo. He is a man of great strength at the start of the novel. He struggles and achieves respect and ranks among others in his society. In the end, when he kills a boy, and that too by a mistake, he is exiled. He is forced to leave the society that he loves more than his family. Okonkwo's life starts with prosperity and ends with adversity. The title of the novel not only justifies the significance of the cultural values of Igbo society, but also the life of the protagonist. One of the most criticized messages that the writer gives in this novel is: it is very shameful for a nation to accept other cultures and forgets the traditional ones. It can safely be said that the title Things Fall Apart has significance of its own, as it not only gives readers a hint, but also a complete summary of the whole tale that the writer tells. Conclusion. At last but not least, the novel explains the story of a society whose values were shattered by colonialism, which could not save itself nor could it save its social values. The conclusion of the novel is in its title. Chinua Achebe was very much right when choosing this title, as the story is totally relevant to it. Consequently, firstly, the moral values and standards were shattered. Secondly, the life of Okonkwo, protagonist of the novel, was ruined and the people became helpless in front of colonialism. The standards and norms of that society vanished and they become deserted, as a result of which, their values were shattered. Therefore, the title is very much correct for this novel. With the growth of European ideas and beliefs, the old traditions of Igbo society begin to falter, things begin to fall apart, and traditional beliefs and old practices begin to receive assault. As a result, Chinua Achebe cannot induce himself to choose any other title other than Things Fall Apart.